So I got something I've been wanting to show you guys. It is, can't get it all in the frame there, the DeWALT DCPW550 portable pressure washer. Now, as always, I bought this for a specific thing at work, which I kind of know it'll work for, which is occasionally I run into a problem where a hydraulic line or a transmission line will blow underneath the hood. It gets into the fan and then it blows everything all over the place. And then you got a big old mess on your hands. So after you do repair, you still got the oil all over the place, and you got two choices up until now, where you get a garden hose and a bunch of degreaser and just kind of blast the thing for a little while to get the oil off, or you just get the old pressure washer in a can with the brake clean. Either option kind of stinks. With this thing, I will be able to just kind of make my life a little bit easier when it happens. And the reason why you want to get the oil off of it, because the oil kind of works as an adhesive, so it looks good when you're done to repair. And then a couple weeks later, if it's a dusty location, the radiator's got a carpet of dust stuck to it, and now you got an overheating problem, and then you got to do it then. So yeah, I know this particular thing will work because a garden hose works. It just takes longer. Whereas this thing, I'll be able to put some pressure on it and maybe get that oil off of it a little bit faster. My question is, when I bought this, is will it actually come in handy for doing around the house stuff? Spring cleaning off the patio, maybe washing a truck, lawnmower. I don't know. We'll see what we got in the back there. But yeah, specs on this thing, they're calling for 40 minutes on low and 550 psi on high. That's just typical toolmaker wank there. Basically what it is they give you the most efficient number on the low setting and the most power on the high setting, so it really doesn't tell you shit all about what we're trying to do here. But I mean, it is what it is. 1 GPM, which is 1 gallon per minute as far as flow goes, which isn't bad. Most of your smaller electric 1000 psi pressure washers will do that, so that's kind of cool. And yeah, that's about it as far as the specs go. It comes with a 5 amp hour just a standard lithium-ion battery and a 4.5 amp hour charger. You can get it without the battery and charger if you already want it. I mean, if you already own it. So and it's like $50 cheaper, I think, is what I was seeing. At the time I bought this, the only one that was available was the one with the battery and charger, so that's the one I got. You could always use another battery, and I'm starting to get a collection of battery chargers for DeWALT and Milwaukee for that matter. So yeah, maybe, I don't know, have a yard sale and sell them all at the same time. But anyway, so let's flip the camera around, get this thing on the bench. We'll take a quick good look at her and give you my opinions on the thing out of the package, and maybe put it to work. So let's do that. All right, well, let's start off with the business end, because I got to take that off to get this thing on my bench without having too much problems. And yeah, this is the wand you got on the end here. Just a standard pressure washer quick connect. I mean, from my years back in the day of actually working on these things, I can pretty much tell that's standard. Then you got the wand. You get these two little ears right here, and you basically just kind of stick that in the hole, give it a quarter twist, and that locks it in. You get two O-rings down here, so if it's leaking, you might want to take a look at those. And then you got the wand itself, which is, what are they claiming here as far as pressure rating? 2320 psi. Oh, max 60 Celsius. So they do psi then Celsius. Okay. So yeah, it is polycarbonate, glass filled, 30%. It does have a very flexible but strong feel to it, I gotta say. So yeah, I don't think you'd have to worry about anything happening down here. I think if you give it a good drop, something in this end's probably gonna snap off, which would be a problem. Now what you get a little bag of accessories here. They give you some nice fishnet stockings to store everything in. Starting off with the soap dispenser here. This attaches the same way the wand does. Just put it in there, give it a twist, and it's all hooked up. I don't see any type of adjustment. Sometimes they'll put a little flow adjuster on these so you can regulate how much soap you're pulling while the water's coming out. I don't see any of that, but you can buy these 4 pressure washers that are a little bit nicer if that's something you'd be using and you kind of want that control where you can change the flow. And it's just basically a plastic bottle with a little screen and a siphon on the end. And now we got the actual siphon hose itself. I don't think I mentioned it in the beginning of the video, but this pressure washer you can actually siphon out of a bucket. That'll probably be your best bet, which would be nice for me because a lot of places I go, if they don't have a garden hose, they at least have some type of faucet where I could fill up a nice clean 5-gallon bucket and pump it out of here. And I mean, you figure at the rate at 1 GPM, get 5 minutes worth of cleaning out of it, so that's not too bad. You know what I mean? I really don't run into things that are that dirty that's going to take more than 5 minutes just to knock down with a pressure washer. Again, you get the quick connect that goes on the bottom where the garden hose would go, and you got this little floater ball, I guess, to keep the hose from sinking too far into what you're siphoning from. I will say that from my experiences with pressure washers in the past, you want to use as clean water as possible. Like if you're on your boat and you're going to dump this into like a lake or a river, make sure there's not like seaweed or anything that's going to clog this up. Again, there is a screen in here, so I mean that'll mitigate anything getting into the pump that's too bad. But yeah, you don't want to be sucking a bunch of crap, and you're probably better off scooping water up into a bucket, I would think. Pool water probably wouldn't be a good idea without looking. I'm pretty sure that's got an aluminum pump in it. The chlorine doesn't reacts pretty good with the aluminum. It can cause you problems down the road. And it doesn't say, but I definitely wouldn't be putting salt water through that thing. That's just a recipe for disaster, no matter what kind of pump it has in it. And now we got the star of the show, which is the actual power head, I guess we'll call it. What it comes with as far as tips go, you got this here turbo tip. It's basically a single point, whereas to these would be like a fan. A lot of your lower power pressure washers kind of use this as a cheat for giving you a little bit more cleaning power. And basically what it is this little pinhole here. They got a little rotary in there as the water goes through. It makes this little pinhole spin in a circle, so you get a spread benefit with also having the benefit of having the extra pinpoint pressure. Like I said, as a cheat, they call them turbo, I guess because they spin. I don't know. A lot of companies use the word turbo to indicate power, but yeah, so that's what that is. This is probably be the one that you use the most. You got these here 3 quick connects for your tips sitting on the top here, which is kind of nice to have a nice little storage place for them. Starting off with the yellow, which is 15, white is 25 degrees, green is 40 degrees. For something as low pressure as this is, I gotta say, I really can't see much use for the 40 degree, because I mean that's way out there. Maybe if you're using it like a water broom to get some wet leaves or pine needles off of your deck or your back patio, it'd work like that, but I really can't see the 40 degree cleaning too much. Same thing goes for the 25 degree white. Again, the low pressure. And the yellow, I mean, maybe the white for rinsing off your car if you're washing it. I'll give that a try. And maybe the yellow, you know, for doing a little bit more aggressive cleaning. But again, this low pressure, you're not going to be expecting that much out of it. So for control, the controls on this thing, you got a trigger down here. It's got a lock on it. Sure, I guess. You can kind of feel there's resistance on the trigger right until the end there, and then you hear the click. You can hear that. And I think basically, without even opening up and looking at it, they want you to have the water flowing through it before the motor kicks on and starts hitting pressure, so that way there the motor doesn't deadhead Probably save you a little bit of batteries and a little bit of wear and tear on the motor. It has a high and low switch. For something this low pressure, I really don't see a use of the low, but I mean, the option's there. I'm only ever going to use it on high, you know, but got all that action going on here. And then back here in this water resistant compartment is where the battery goes. Here's the 5 amp hour that comes with it, and as you can see, got a lot of room there. Definitely have room for a 6 amp hour. I'm pretty sure you could fit a flex volt battery in there. Maybe if someone, I don't know any flex volt batteries, but if anybody owns this and has a flex volt and puts it in there, let me know in the comments, because I don't know. And down here is where your quick connect goes for your garden hose. Now I did buy some I did buy some generic ones from Walmart when I was just happened to be down the aisle. Kind of curious if these are standard quick connects or if there's something DeWALT is doing. All right, so here's just a standard old generic jobby. Yeah, and that kind of seems like that is, yeah, pretty good. So all right, so you got the standard ones seem to work with this guy. Now also in this area here, you got another, there's water in there. I guess they test these from the factory. China water, that's gross. Yeah, so yeah, you got a secondary screener here, a secondary screen here, and that just screws into the guy there. I wonder if no, it doesn't have enough room. I wonder if you could just hook up. You can, but there's not enough of a hole to hook a hose directly up to it. Which kind of leads me to my next observation here, and that is that this little guy right here is kind of cheap and flimsy, and you got this guy right here, which is a lot of leverage torquing on that thing. And if you've ever used a pressure washer before, you usually kind of hold it like this, and when you want to move the hose, you kind of give it a good yank and take the hose with it. And I could see this wanting to snap off at some point in time. So if I were building this tool, which I'm not, so DeWALT, you get this one for free. Maybe mold this on an angle to match the handle, and down here at the battery put a little Velcro strap, and you could crank down on it and give yourself a little strain relief on that. All right, so what do you say we take this outside? It just so happens to be the beginning of spring, and it's starting to get warmer out. And this is the time of year where I usually go outside and I, get the lawnmower out and clean up the patio and the patio furniture and all that jazz, and do my spring cleaning. And yeah, take this guy outside, run it through his paces. Maybe I'll wash the truck a little bit and see what kind of job it does for that, and we'll come back in here and give you my final thoughts. All right, I got you on pressure wash cam. First person view, baby. Well, I mean, it's doing it. Let's try the old turbo nozzle. I mean, it's not horrible. Maybe with a little bit of cleaner make it go better, but usually when I have borrowed a pressure washer to do this, I didn't need cleaner. So see what it looks like when it dries. All right, we got some mold on the side of the shed here. Again, it doesn't get much sunlight, so give it a whirl. We'll stick with the turbo nozzle. Now, I don't know if you can see that as well as I can, but it cleaned it, but it really didn't knock the mold off of it. So again, a little bit of cleaner on it, let it soak. It might do all right, but just water alone and pressure doesn't really seem like it's doing too much. Let's try the yellow tip just for shits and giggles. pretty much the same thing. Alright, I switched to the green tip just to kind of test this thing out as like a water broom, I guess. We'll try. Alright, let's clean the truck now. Alright, now I got the soap dispenser on. See how that does. Well, there you go. Nice and clean. Well, all right. The deed has been done. The tests have been made. I want to just start off by saying that this thing's a little awkward to. Here, we'll stick it there. Just want to start off by saying I'm going to be doing a lot of negative things, but I'm not bashing this particular tool. Like I said at the beginning of the video, I have a specific reason why I bought this, and it will do what I need it to do. And I had a question as to whether or not it would do other things, and I generally find that my questions are shared by other people, and that's what I'm doing here. Give you a nice unbiased opinion of a tool that I bought, so that way you are more informed if you are intending on buying the same thing I bought. I also need to address, after looking at the box, they're calling this a power cleaner, not a pressure washer like I kept calling it in the beginning of the video, which I probably will continue calling it throughout the rest of this video. It's what they advertise it on Amazon and everywhere else. So, I mean, power cleaner, pressure washer, I guess they're trying to manage expectations, whatever. But, I mean, let's leave it at that. So, I did, however, some things I did off camera. The siphon hose, I tried that out of a bucket. I don't see the need to put it into the video. It did the same. And if it didn't, you wouldn't know the difference. It's just kind of a more of a feel thing. So the siphon thing, it does do its thing. I will say that the soap dispenser is a bucket of hot garbage. It needs to be able to dial in the amount of soap that it dispenses. When I was cleaning my truck off, I filled it up like, I don't know, a third of the way with car wash solution, which is just a standard car wash solution that you would buy anywheres. And I mean, a third of that is what I would normally pour into a 5-gallon bucket when I'm scrubbing with a brush. And yeah, it dumped it out in like, I don't know, 45 seconds. So it really needs to be regulated is what I'm getting at. And they do sell pressure washer soap dispensers where you can regulate the flow of soap out of it. So this thing, I don't see a use for it. Any cleaners that you put in here, and I mean, the soap is pretty viscous, so I mean, what I'm getting at is any cleaner you put in here, it's just going to dump it straight out, and I dropped it, and that's where it belongs, on the floor, because it's junk. I will also say, I dropped it. It was sitting on the table in my backyard there, and moving stuff around, and the battery compartment here popped off. It just more or less popped back on, but I did break the quick connect hose adapter, so I don't know if that's quite a stress test. As you can see, I got the one that I bought from Walmart on here to finish the old testing there. But yeah, just to mention that, like I said, I honestly thought that if you drop this thing good enough, this piece right here would snap off, and it probably still will. Just so happened the way I dropped it just didn't do that. But yeah, so it snapped the quick connect end off of the thing. And one other thing that I forgot to mention in the beginning of the video, the yellow tip, according to the literature on the page, the yellow tip, to use an old dirt bike terminology, would be like the power band tip, where you get the most amount of flow as far as GPMs go, and the most amount of pressure. Whereas to the other end of it, the turbo nozzle here, you'd get more pressure as compared to flow, and then you go all the way down to like the green one, where you get the maximum amount of flow and not as much pressure. Now, as far as tips go, shit's falling all over the place. As far as tips go, the only useful ones, as far as, well, for what I was doing, was the yellow tip and the turbo nozzle. The white and the green ones, they just didn't have enough pressure to really do anything worthwhile, so keep that in mind as well. So moving on to the actual cleaning portion of the videos that you would have probably just watched, unless I edit it differently. Cleaning the concrete, the turbo nozzle with the concrete, it did pull up a good portion of the mold, and the yellow nozzle not so much, but it still did something. I will say, and I did mention this I think earlier in the video, I didn't use soap, mostly because I could have soap brand A and you could have soap brand B, and my brand A is better than your brand B, and then you're going to use it and think that it's not as good. So like I said, I just wanted to use just dry to see what it could do to surface dirt. And yeah, as far as the concrete goes, it's not bad. I wouldn't want to do a huge patio with it. I mean, in fact, my patio isn't that big either. I think it's like 20 by 10, I think my patio is, and it would probably take a while to get it clean. I'm actually going to go back. I got some chemicals that I could put down that won't kill my lawn, and eventually I'm going to go back and actually clean it the right way. But like I said, it's a good measure for things. Now, as far as the shed goes, as you saw in the video, the mold that was growing, or mildew, I don't know what mold, mildew, what's the difference? As far as the mildew that was growing on the side of the thing, this really didn't do anything for it. It's the mildew, it just kind of gets into the pores of things. The same thing with the concrete. It gets into the pores of things and it grabs on pretty tight. So without a chemical to release it, it's just going to stick around. And yeah, it's just not going to clean it unless you have something with a little bit more pressure. Like I said earlier, I have borrowed I think it was a 1200 PSI 110 plug-in style pressure washer, and it cleaned it. So take that for what it is. I mean, it is more pressure, but yeah. Now, moving on to the lawnmower. As you saw in the video, the stuff that was on top of the lawnmower, like I said, I don't think I've ever cleaned that lawnmower, sort of maybe given it a half-ass attempt with a garden hose. I've had it 15 years. Yeah, as far as the lawnmower goes, the stuff that was on the top that was kind of loose, it knocked it off pretty good. It wasn't too bad. The really heavy grass that was stuck underneath the deck there, yeah, it didn't do much of anything for that. I wasn't really expecting it to do much for it, but might as well give it a shot. So, moving on to cleaning the truck. And yeah, I know it's a Tacoma, it's not a real truck, but I mean, I wear steel toe boots all week, and I drive a bigger truck for work, so I get enough macho during the week. I just want something comfortable to drive on the weekends, for God's sake. I'm kidding, of course. But yeah, so for the truck, starting off, of course, with rinse down. It was nice. I haven't washed it since probably early winter, I think, would probably be the last time I actually washed it. So getting the road dirt off of it, this actually does a pretty good job for that. It's not bad for like I guess you could call it like the pre-soak. If you go to the coin op wash type places, did pretty good with that. Again, this is the only thing I really used soap with was the truck, because I mean, you got to use soap to wash your vehicles off with. The soap dispenser, it's useless. I mean, I put it just hosed so much soap onto my truck. It actually took me longer to rinse it off because it was just so much soap on it. The getting to the rinse off part of it, you're better off with a garden hose. When you're rinsing something off that's already clean, you want the gallons per minute to just wash it away and get rid of it. And yeah, you're just better off with a garden hose. I mean, if you want to justify your purchase of this, sure, it'll rinse off your vehicle. Maybe use the white or the green tip, and that might do it for you. But yeah, like I said, I started off with this doing the rinse, and it was just, I guess, taking too friggin' long. So I just put my spray nozzle on my garden hose, and it just blew it right off. So I guess in closing, who should buy this here DeWALT Power Cleaner pressure washer thing? I got to be honest, for what I bought it for, which we discussed at the beginning of the video, absolutely. I could also see, some HVAC guys up on a roof. They got a big old condenser up there that hasn't been maintained right, not necessarily having the access to the water that they need to. You get this, you hump this up a ladder, maybe throw a rope down there and pull up a 5-gallon bucket worth of water, and give yourself 5 minutes of cleaning at a time. I mean, probably better than a garden hose. Well, definitely is better than a garden hose for that type of situation. It's good for it's good for removing surface dirt. Like I said, with the pre-soak with the truck, you just kind of knocking that surface dirt off. Anything that's kind of really caked in there, like with the lawnmower and the mold on the side of the shed, it's not going to do too much unless you put some chemicals on it. It solves a problem if you have limited power. So if you're looking for a 110 outlet, you don't have one, it's battery supplied. If you're working in a confined space, you can't run a gas-powered pressure washer, again with the battery. We discussed, it just sips water, so if you're limited as far as water supply goes, great for that. In space, that's probably one of the biggest ones. Got someone like me, this is going to live in the back of my work truck, so it's not going to take up too much space. I just tuck it in a hole for the 3 times a year I'll probably use it. Or if you're like me and you got a small backyard with a small shed, or as to a rolly style, even a small 1200 psi plug-in style pressure washer, it's still going to take up space. Whereas this, I could just hang this up on the wall of my shed right next to my weed whacker, and it's not going to get in the way. So yeah, I think that's about it for this thing. It'll do what I do. It doesn't do much more than that. Wasn't necessarily anticipating that it would, but that was my question, and I think we've answered that today. It's decent for what it is. I think DeWALT just came out with 2100 psi AC powered, plug-in powered pressure washer. Maybe I'll take a look at that sometime in the future if you guys are interested. It seems like it's pretty decent as far as spec-wise go. Like I said, it was like 2100 psi. I could be wrong on that. It was definitely 2000 something. Keep that in mind. But yeah, so as always, any questions, comments, concerns, leave them down in the dilly-do. I'll try my best to answer them. And yeah, that's it for the video. So thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. It's big.